It's 5:30 here on the Truman State Campus, and welcome to TMN Television on Thursday, February 18th. I'm Rose vonHatten.
And I'm Stephanie Best. New tonight, we look at University President Troy Paino and the reason behind his resignation.
And after that, catch up on Truman sports with the Dog Pound.
Plus, stay tuned to see our newest segment, the TSU Weekend Update.
These stories and more tonight on TMN Television. You don't want to miss this.
On Monday, University President Troy Paino announced in a campus-wide email he will be leaving his position at Truman to become the president of the University of Mary Washington. Paino says he originally was approached by an executive search consultant from Mary Washington during October, but only reached his decision to take the job last week. Paino says leaving Truman is the most difficult decision he's ever had to make, but says the main reason why he took the position is to be closer to his wife's family in Virginia. Paino says he has expressed to the Board of Governors his willingness to help with the selection of Truman's next president. Paino also says programs and initiatives he started will continue after his term as president is over. Because of Truman's decreased government funding, Paino says he might face some criticism for leaving, but explains he is not leaving because of any problems Truman is facing.
Some people might, I think quite wrongly, think that my departure is somehow getting away from some of these challenges. That couldn't be further from the truth. There are challenges at every institution. And there are challenges waiting for me at Mary Washington. You trade one set of challenges for another set of challenges.
To learn more about Paino's decision, pick up this week's edition of The Index and check out tmn.truman.edu.
This past week, Truman State hosted a series of events about two proposed state Senate bills dealing with carrying firearms on campus. The proposed bills, known as SB 589 and SB 731, prompted multiple forums on campus where students were able to voice their opinions about the bills. The director of the Department of Public Safety, Sarah Holzmeyer, hosted the first forum while student government hosted the second event. During the second event, students representing both sides of the issue debated about their own personal beliefs on the matter and voiced their comments and concerns. Currently, the bills are still sitting in the Missouri Senate and have not been approved. For an extended look at the issue, visit tmn.truman.edu and pick up a copy of this week's edition of The Index.
Sodexo has announced that by 2020, it will serve exclusively cage-free eggs nationwide. Truman's dining services have served cage-free eggs in a shell since 2014, but the pre-made liquid eggs used more extensively in Sodexo's cooking to be scrambled eggs and used as ingredients are not cage-free. Several factors prevent the change from happening before 2020, including increased prices for cage-free eggs and recent avian flu outbreaks. Dining Services General Manager Laura Cunningham also says there isn't a large demand from students. Students who wish to express their views about cage-free eggs can do so February 23rd in the dining halls, where Sodexo will be administering student surveys.
A 6,000-pound air chiller was recently replaced in McLean Hall using funds from the Energy Savings Project. Physical plant director Carl Schneider says part of the sustainability project was to save enough energy to cover the cost of equipment at the end of its life cycle, such as the air chiller. Schneider says the installation should be completed by the end of March before outside temperatures become high enough to require air conditioning. Schneider says the old air chiller had been in McLean since the building was constructed in 1974 and had been having many problems during the last few years. He says he thinks people in McLean will notice a difference. Schneider also says McLean is connected through a cold water loop with several other buildings, including the library and Baldwin Hall, and the new air chiller should affect the temperature in those buildings as well. He says the new chiller is projected to save about $1 million annually, eventually refunding its cost of $10.5 million. After the break, stay tuned for the Dog Pound, hosted by Sarah Hicks.
But before that, let's take a look at this week's forecast.
Watching online videos like this one.
Brushing for 2 minutes now can save your child from severe tooth pain later. 2 minutes twice a day. They have the time.
A Truman State fraternity has established a new charity event on campus. Last week, the Lambda Chi Alpha chapter hosted its first annual food drive for the Feeding America Foundation. The week-long drive allowed students to donate canned goods and money to support the cause. The organization raised more than $100 since the first day of the event and added its own twist to the fundraiser. The individual who raised the most money had to film a video of them shaving their head. Lambda Chi Alpha's External Vice President and Philanthropy Chair, Chip Champagne, says this new event was started to create a spring philanthropic event to further impact the Kirksville community.
Every fall, we have like a big event called Watermelon Fest. We raise usually like somewhere around like $2 grand every year for it, but it's always been in the fall. You know, we've never really done like anything in the spring really, so I wanted to like do something where we could like have an impact on the community. So I thought that the food drive would be a good opportunity to do that.
Poet Allison Joseph came to Truman last week to teach a poetry masterclass and perform a reading of several of her poems, including her new book, Mercurial. TMN reporter Aaron Johnson has the story.
Truman State University welcomed poet Allison Joseph, the author of several poetry books, to conduct a poetry masterclass from February 8th to the 12th. Joseph, who was also a teacher at Southern Illinois University Carbondale, taught students on the qualities of what makes a good poem. According to English major Zane DeZeo, Joseph told the class to look at what their favorite authors did and to look to it for inspiration.
I think the most valuable lesson came day one of her coming to class, and she told us to steal other people's poetry. Not in the sense like, I have a poem, I'm going to slap my name on it, but like steal ideas and concepts because like it's so hard to create something completely original because poetry and language has been around for so long, you know? And so it's more so like, you see a writer you like what are the good things that they're doing and try to like learn from it and grow from that and take ideas for metaphors and different images. And so not steal, like I said, in the sense of like slapping my name on something, but steal concepts and what was successful to try to like build yourself up.
In the masterclass, they wrote and looked at different poems and also edited some of the student works. Joseph also did a reading of some of her poetry, including her newest book, Mercurial, on the 10th and Baldwin Little Theater. Over 70 people were in attendance, including students, faculty, and community members. Joseph felt that this reading stood out to her because it was the first reading of her newest book that came out on the 2nd of February.
Special to be able to debut my new book here. That's really special. You always remember the first time you read from a new manuscript or a newly published book, so that was really special.
Joseph says she wants to eventually come back to Truman, but would prefer to come back in the spring when it isn't as windy. From the Truman Media Network, this is Aaron Johnson.
After the break, stay tuned for the Dog Pound, hosted by Sarah Hicks.
For just $4, get a double cheeseburger, a spicy chicken sandwich, fries, and a Coke. It's the heavyweight champion of deals. The $4 Real Deal, only at Hardee's.
All right, you ready for some baseball trivia?
Let's do it.
What year produced the most no-hit games in the big leagues?
7 no-hitters in 1990.
Wow, that's right. Now a question that's not trivial. How many children will witness bullying this year?
Huh.
The answer? 3 out of 4.
75%?
That's
wow.
right. How many of them will say something?
Kids want to help, but don't know how. Teach them how to stop bullying and be more than a bystander at stopbullying.gov.
Hello and welcome to the Dog Pound, always brought to you by Hardee's. I'm Sarah Hicks. The Truman State baseball team will defend their NCAA Midwest Regional title with a doubleheader against Southwest Baptist and Lincoln University this weekend. Truman swept through the Midwest region as the only undefeated team in the bracket last season and earned a trip to the Division II World Series. The women's basketball team is currently tied with Quincy 11-4 in conference play. The women are competing for the finals bye spot in the GLVC tournament. The men's basketball team hopes to turn around from a 3-game losing streak this Thursday against William Jewell. The Bulldogs currently sit 9-6 in conference play, while William Jewell sits 3-12. The Truman State softball team opened the season with a split 4-game weekend at the Arkansas Monticello 8-State Classic on Friday and Saturday. The Bulldogs were victorious over Nebraska Kearney and Northeastern, but fell to Henderson, Arkansas State, and Harding. Finally, the women's swim team took the GLVC title at the 2016 Conference Championships. Head coach Petrie said that they had never seen such an effort among the ladies. Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of the Dog Pound. As always, I am Sarah Hicks reporting for the Truman Media Network.
The Truman Update, starring Lincoln McCoy and Mandy Matucci.
Welcome to the Truman Update. I'm Mandy Matucci.
And I'm Lincoln McCoy. Here are tonight's top stories. The Netflix original series Making a Murderer is creating a splash with the Netflix population. The debacle of Stephen Avery's innocence or guilt is an extreme debate with viewers. Some viewers argue that Avery's biggest crime is admitting guilt to not owning a pair of underwear.
Since the divorce of country singers Miranda Lambert and Blake Shelton, a new romance has bloomed from the affair between the Voice judges Gwen Stefani and Shelton. Out of sheer heartbreak, Lambert has forbidden those close to her from speaking their names. In an interview with Stefani, we asked her how she felt about Lambert's actions. Stefani stated, "Bananas. This is bananas. B-A-N-A-N-A-S. Bananas."
Recently in the preview of The Late Late Show, hosted by James Corden, Justin Bieber revealed that he is ready to settle down and maybe have kids. We'll check in with our economic specialist, Dan Tabb, for his economic predictions on the situation. Dan, how are things going out on campus?
Cold.
Dan, do you think it would be healthy for our economy if Justin Bieber had children?
No.
Thanks, Dan.
Truman State University's Pascal the Chameleon recently passed away due to old age. Here is exclusive coverage of Pascal's send-off. A true hero's send-off. On the morning of January 13th, a fire occurred in Truman State's Student Union building. Sources say that the fire started when a deep fryer caught on fire. Later, another fire occurred in the ventilation system, causing the burger restaurant to be shut down for the remainder of the semester. Speculation has it that the second fire was caused by Sodexo workers avoiding the cold by smoking in the vents.
The Truman Energy Project has begun establishing new energy-efficient heating and cooling updates in McLean Hall, Ryle, and now being established in the library. Hopefully, after the updates are completed, students will notice that their gray shirts will not be black after leaving the sauna we call Pickler's third floor.
Students in Biology 444 held a panel called Future of Agriculture recently to discuss how agriculture and sustainability will be addressed in Northeast Missouri. But we all know what happened last time science tried to manipulate food.
Yeah? Okay. This just in. President Troy Paino has announced his resignation. As of next semester, President Troy Paino will no longer hold the title of President Troy Paino. We check in with Dan Tabb as he interviews Truman State students. Dan?
What are your feelings about Troy Paino resigning from Truman State?
What's that?
What are your feelings of Troy Paino resigning from Truman State?
Troy? Troy Paino! Oh, no, 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 no! Troy Paino!
Mandy Matucci. And this is Lincoln McCoy. You all have a great night.
Pop. I have no idea how to pop this thing.
Okay, it's fine. That was good. That was really good.
That brings us to the end of our program. Be sure to check out our exclusive web content at tmn.truman.edu. For weekend updates and special coverage, look for TMN Television on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Also check out our newest talk show, Rising from Our Roots, right here on Channel 36 this Sunday at 5:30 p.m.
And for complete multimedia coverage, be sure to pick up a copy of The Index and tune into KTRM on 88.7 The Edge. From all of us at TMN Television, thank you for tuning in and have a great rest of the week.